I was 31 years old. My career was solid, my life predictable. I liked the control I had over my own space, my own time. Then Daniel walked in. He was charming, handsome. He worked in finance like me, but with family money, always mentioning our family's portfolio. My life, which had been perfectly fine, suddenly felt like it flipped from black and white to color. I believed he was the one, my forever person. I thought I'd finally found my place, not just in a city, but in someone else's life. But then came the night of our engagement party. His family, with their old money and endless connections, said they'd throw it for us. What they really did was create a stage, and on that stage, they humiliated me. It wasn't subtle, it was a deliberate, calculated act to make me feel small. To show I didn't belong, they thought they could erase me. Quietly, they were wrong. Instead, I erased them. From the wedding, from the guest list, and from my life. Humiliation can break you, or it can forge you. I chose the latter. If you've ever been made to feel small at your own celebration, if you've ever felt like an inconvenience in your own story, pushed to the margins, you'll want to hear this. If you've ever wondered if speaking up makes a difference, then listen closely. Please subscribe and hit the like button so this story can reach someone who needs to hear that sometimes. The quietest revenge is the loudest statement of all. I was just a normal woman, grew up in a small town, learned to work hard and stand on my own 2 feet. I put myself through college, got a good job in finance, lived in a cozy apartment, paid my own bills. My life felt calm, predictable. Then I met Daniel at a charity gala. He was everything I wasn't used to: bright eyes, a confident laugh. He talked about art, places he'd traveled, Paris, private ski chalets. He made me feel like I was the only person in the room. We went on dates. Everything moved fast. He sent expensive flowers, booked dinners at exclusive restaurants. My friends raised eyebrows, concerned by the speed. I just shrugged. It felt right, somehow. He talked about our future like it was already happening. A house with a garden, travels. He made it all sound so real. The proposal came after 6 months on a private yacht off Italy. His family arranged it. It felt like a movie set. Cameras, a photographer. Daniel knelt, the sun setting, and held up a massive diamond ring. "Will you make me the happiest man in the world?" My hand trembled as he slid the ring on. It fit perfectly. It felt like destiny. My forever person. All those dreams felt possible. His mother, Vivian, appeared moments after. Tall, perfectly put together, her blonde hair in a severe bob. She looked at me, an assessment. Her smile was brief, tight. "Congratulations," she said, her voice cool. She didn't embrace me. She patted Daniel on the shoulder. "You've done well, darling." She looked at the ring, then at me. Her eyes were sharp, evaluating. No warmth. It was polite, perfectly so. But it felt like a wall had gone up. I knew then. This was not a woman who would let you get too close. She was pleased, but not about me. It was about the picture, the moment, the perfect new addition to the family photo album. A chill settled deep down, an unfamiliar feeling. The engagement party planning started immediately. Daniel's family jumped in. I'd imagined something small, intimate. "Oh, darling, that simply won't do," Vivian said, waving a manicured hand. "An engagement deserves a proper celebration. For the family, for our associates." Her emphasis was always on their world. They insisted on hosting it themselves. The venue, a grand ballroom, was picked without my input. The guest list swelled with hundreds of names I didn't know. My small list felt like a footnote. I tried to suggest things: music, a lighter menu. "What about a more relaxed atmosphere?" I asked Daniel. He shrugged. "It's my mother's vision. She's really good at this. Just let her do her thing." Vivian called me. "We've decided on the theme," she announced. "Classic, timeless elegance, cream and gold." I tried again, gently. "My grandmother used to make these lovely cookies for celebrations, very sentimental." Vivian's voice tightened. "It's tradition in our family that the groom's side handles these affairs. We have a very specific way. It ensures everything runs smoothly. You see, and honestly, those little cookies sound quaint, not quite the aesthetic." Smooth meant their way. My suggestions were met with polite, unyielding resistance. When I brought it up with Daniel, he seemed tired. Look, my mom has a reputation. It's easier if we let them handle it. It's a gift. He said it like I was ungrateful. Why are you making this about yourself? He asked, softly, but the words still stung. They just want to celebrate us, don't spoil it. I felt myself shrinking. It wasn't malicious, not overtly, just a slow, steady sidelining. My ideas were impractical. My tastes didn't fit their tradition. The party wasn't for us, but for them. For the family name, for the optics. I was expected to slot in. A silent prop. I kept trying to grind against their gears. But they were a well-oiled machine. Eventually, I stopped. I let them plan their party. I told myself it was fine. What mattered was the marriage, the promise. The party planning exclusion was part of a larger pattern. Small things, at first, annoying but easy to explain away. Daniel would make plans, then Vivian would subtly override them. Oh, Daniel, you simply must come to this gallery opening. Or, we always spend Christmas at the lake house. Never a question, always a statement, my preferences, my family's traditions, they just vanished. Vivian's comments started to sting, always with that polite, tight smile. You know, Daniel's ex-girlfriend, Chloe, she was so skilled at hosting dinner parties. Or, it's lovely you're so focused on your career. Daniel always needs someone to manage the home, though, once you have a family. Isabella, Daniel's sister, was worse. She'd post photos of family gatherings, leaving me just outside the frame, or tag everyone but me in captions. Daniel's cousins mentioned inside jokes I didn't know. I tried to talk to Daniel. Do you think your mom likes me? I asked. After she commented on my shoes, he sighed. Of course, she likes you, she's just particular. When I showed him Isabella's post about family loyalty, thicker than water, he barely glanced. You're overthinking everything, that's just Izzy being Izzy. Don't make a big deal out of nothing, just let my family enjoy this. He said it calmly, but it felt like gaslighting. You know how women are, he'd say, dismissing my concerns. I wondered if I was too sensitive. My own family was quiet. My mom listened, her voice small. Are you happy, honey? It's a very different world, their world. My dad told me to be careful. They knew something was off, but they were hesitant, intimidated by Daniel's wealthier family. They didn't want to cause trouble. They told me to be careful, to retreat. I felt isolated, and I, foolishly, kept making excuses. I convinced myself it would all be different after the wedding. Then, I'd belong. The engagement party was set for a Saturday. The day before, Isabella texted me. Hey, about tomorrow night's party. Mom said to tell everyone the dress code is cocktail attire. Nothing too fancy, you know, just something simple, comfortable. I read it twice, cocktail attire. Okay, I picked a navy blue dress. Elegant but understated. It felt appropriate. I even asked Daniel, is this okay for cocktail? He barely glanced. Yeah, fine, just look nice. He was distracted. I got ready, feeling a flutter of nerves. My hair simple, a bit of makeup, the dress hung well. Daniel picked me up, already in his tux. He didn't comment on my dress. Ready, when we arrived, a chill ran through me. Guests were in full-length gowns, sparkling, floor-sweeping dresses. Men in black tie. They looked like they were on a red carpet. My navy dress felt like something I'd wear to a casual office gathering. It was so obviously wrong. Then I saw her. Near the entrance, with Isabella, was Chloe, Daniel's ex-girlfriend. The one Vivian kept bringing up. She wore a shimmering silver gown, strapless, expensive. Her hair professionally styled. She looked like a movie star. Everyone looked coordinated, like they'd received a different memo. It was a formal affair. My stomach dropped. I looked at Daniel, but he was already greeting someone, oblivious. A cold, hard knot formed in my chest. I felt set up. Deliberately. The vague instruction. The nothing too fancy remark. It wasn't a miscommunication. It was a trap. A way to make me stand out, to make me feel out of place. The simple cocktail dress now felt like a uniform for someone who didn't belong, and Chloe, glowing, was a silent, sneering confirmation of their true intentions. Walking into that ballroom felt like stepping onto a stage where I didn't know my lines. The air was thick with lilies and expensive perfume. Everything glittered. My navy dress felt like a cruel joke. My smile was frozen. Daniel, oblivious, pulled me along greeting people. He introduced me to a few distant relatives, but it was quick, an afterthought. His hand barely touched my back, then Vivian saw me. She was holding court, her eyes landed on me. Her smile didn't falter, but her eyebrows lifted slightly. "Oh, you actually came," she said, a little too clearly. She made it sound like my attendance was a surprise, unwelcome. I blinked. Daniel was already moving on. He didn't seem to notice. We circulated, or rather, Daniel circulated, pulling me in his wake. I stood beside him, a silent accessory. He rarely introduced me. My name wasn't on the seating chart I saw. Even though Daniel's cousin had a spot, I wondered if I was supposed to just stand all night. Later, I saw a large banner across the wall. "Congratulations, Daniel and our family." My name was missing, just Daniel's. A cold wave washed over me. This was my engagement party too. This wasn't an oversight. This was a deliberate exclusion, a public erasure. People started to whisper. I felt their eyes on me. Women huddled, glancing, then quickly looking away. I couldn't hear what they were saying, but I knew they were talking about my dress, about me not belonging. Humiliation was a hot flush, then a creeping chill. It wasn't subtle anymore, it was intentional, every detail. From the dress code to the banner was orchestrated to make me feel small, an outsider. I looked for Daniel. He was laughing with Chloe, across the room. He didn't see me, feeling like I was disappearing. No one planned a speech for me. Daniel's father gave a long, booming speech about Daniel's accomplishments, his family's legacy. He raised a glass to Daniel and his chosen partner. No name, just chosen partner. It felt like a final public erasure. The air felt heavy with unspoken judgment. I could hardly breathe. The coldness in the room felt like a physical weight. I watched Daniel, still talking to Chloe, their heads close together. It felt intimate, too comfortable. My stomach tightened. I needed to know what was happening. This wasn't just a mix-up. I walked over, my steps heavy when I reached them. Daniel looked up, his smile fading. Chloe gave me a tight glance. "Daniel," I said, my voice shaky. "What's going on?" He just stared at me, his eyes blank, distant. He didn't move towards me, he mumbled. "I don't know what you mean." His voice flat, like talking to a stranger. The Daniel I knew was gone. Vivian stepped between us, her emerald dress rustling. Her face was calm, but her eyes held a sharp glint. Her voice cut through the hum of the party. "Perhaps," she said, looking straight at me, "this isn't the right environment for someone like you." Her words felt like a blow. People near us turned their heads. I just stood there. "What?" I whispered. "What are you talking about?" She gave me a thin smile. "You clearly misunderstood the nature of this event. Your attire, your behavior. It's causing quite a stir." She gestured vaguely. "We value decorum and frankly, darling, you're not fitting in." Embarrassment. My face burned. I felt the eyes on me. Daniel still hadn't said a word. He didn't defend me, he just let her speak. Let her cut me down. "You're asking me to leave?" I asked. My voice barely audible, but vibrating with unfamiliar anger. Vivian's chin lifted. "It would be best, yes, before things escalate. We wouldn't want to make a scene." She gestured to a security guard who had suddenly appeared. He took a step forward. Tears welled up, but I refused to let them fall. Not here, not in front of them. The humiliation was suffocating. I turned. Blindly, pushing past the guard, past Daniel, past Chloe. I walked out of the ballroom onto the street. The cool night air hit my face, but didn't extinguish the fire in my cheeks. I just kept walking, tears finally streaming down my face. I didn't know what had just happened, but I knew something was profoundly wrong. I was supposed to be the bride, and I had just been kicked out of my own engagement party. The next few days were a blur of confusion. I kept replaying the scene, Vivian's cold voice, Daniel's blank face. I expected a call, an apology, nothing. I called Daniel, no answer again, still nothing. I sent texts, what happened, are you okay, call me. My phone remained silent, he just vanished, ghosted. The man who had proposed to me, my future, had simply disappeared. His sister, Isabella, didn't disappear. Her Instagram stories took a darker turn. Vague quotes about toxic people. Then, a picture of Daniel looking solemn, with a caption, supporting my brother through difficult times. Some people just aren't strong enough for true commitment. Another story showed a blurry picture of me at the party, clearly identifiable by the navy dress. Text overlay, when someone acts unstable and causes a scene at a family event. It was a calculated smear campaign. My phone buzzed with messages from friends. Did you see Isabella's post? What happened? I didn't have the words. I felt like I was losing my mind. Was I unstable? Had I caused a scene? I thought I just walked out. But Isabella's version made me sound like a villain. I called my mom, she listened. Oh, honey, she said, full of worry, those people, they're so powerful. Maybe you should just let it go for now, don't antagonize them. My dad echoed it. It's a lot of money, sometimes. It's best to just walk away quietly. My own family seemed to shrink from conflict with Daniel's world. They told me to retreat. I felt isolated, truly alone. I checked Daniel's social media. He was active, just not with me. He posted gym photos, charity event pictures. No mention of me. No apology. No explanation. It was as if I'd never existed. The ring, still on my finger, felt heavy, a reminder of a shattered promise. The gaslighting was insidious. It wasn't just Daniel disappearing. It was his family's public narrative, whispering that I was the problem. It made me question everything. Had I imagined it? Was I too sensitive? I felt like I was drowning in a fog of doubt. Every instinct screaming something was wrong, while every external voice told me I was wrong. I stared at the ring on my left hand. The diamond, once a symbol of endless possibilities, now felt like a shard of ice. It was huge, blinding. It had cost a fortune, but now, it felt tainted, a monument to public humiliation. I traced its cold edges. Was any of it real, or just a show for Daniel's family? I looked at my reflection. My eyes were shadowed. I thought about taking it off, mailing it back to Daniel, to sever the last, painful link, but something held me back, a stubbornness. They had kicked me out, erased my name, smeared my character. They wanted me to disappear quietly. Returning the ring would feel like admitting defeat, accepting their version. No, I wouldn't, not yet. The ring was proof. I slid it off. The metal cool against my skin. I dropped it into my grandmother's simple wooden jewelry box. It clinked against other, more humble pieces. I closed the lid. It wasn't going anywhere, not until I decided. I picked up my phone. Daniel's number was still there. I thought about what to say, not angry, not pleading, something calm, final, something that showed I was done with their games. I typed it slowly, choosing each word carefully. You and your family made a choice. I wrote. A very public one. You chose to humiliate me, to dismiss me, to erase me. I want you to know I heard you, and I understand. Because of that, I've made a choice too, and I'm going to stick with it. I didn't mention the ring. I didn't ask for an explanation. I didn't say goodbye. I just hit send. A simple click, a quiet, terrifying act of defiance. My thumb hovered, then I put the phone down. I hadn't wanted this fight, but they had picked it, and I was finally ready to choose myself. A week later, the expected phone call came, not from Daniel, from a lawyer. My name is Mr. Harrison. He said, his voice smooth, professional. I represent the Reynolds family. I'm calling concerning certain recent events, and the engagement ring still in your possession. My stomach clenched, but I forced myself to remain calm. This was their official move. Mr. Harrison explained the Reynolds family requested the immediate return of the ring. He called it a valuable asset and family heirloom. Though I knew it was new, he also mentioned a document. We've prepared a standard non-disclosure agreement. He said, his voice persuasive. "It just ensures all parties maintain discretion regarding the unfortunate misunderstanding. It protects everyone's reputation." He emphasized everyone's, but I knew he meant theirs. He talked about damaging reputations, unwanted media attention, and settling this amicably. He'd email the document and arrange a courier. He wanted it done quietly. I listened, my hand gripping the phone, an NDA to silence me, to ensure I never spoke about what they had done. About the humiliation, the gaslighting, the public betrayal. They wanted to muzzle me, to control the narrative. If I signed it, I'd lose my right to ever speak. A cold, clear fury simmered inside me. This wasn't just about a ring anymore. This was about my story. Instead of replying, I hung up. I took a deep breath, then I called Sarah, an old law school friend, sharp and always for what was right. I explained everything, the party, Daniel's silence, the lawyer. I tried to keep my voice steady. Sarah listened patiently. First thing, the ring. Was it explicitly stated as a conditional gift? I thought back. No, he just put it on my finger. Will you marry me? That was it. Sarah hummed. Good. In most jurisdictions, an engagement ring, once gifted unconditionally, is yours. They don't have an automatic right to demand it back. A small spark of triumph. It was mine. Second, she continued. This NDA, do not sign anything. An NDA means they want to muzzle you. If you sign it, you lose your right to ever speak about this. They're trying to scare you. Don't do it. You have nothing to be ashamed of. They do. Her words were like a bracing cold shower. Clearing my head, I didn't have to be afraid. I wasn't powerless. The game had just changed. Sarah's advice, clear and firm, gave me a new resolve. I had the ring. I wouldn't sign their NDA, but that wasn't enough. I needed to understand exactly what I was up against. This felt bigger. I wondered if this was a pattern for them. Had Daniel done this before? I knew a guy, through a friend, Frank, retired police detective, now a private investigator. Discreet, thorough. I called my friend, got Frank's number, and set up a meeting. Frank met me in a quiet coffee shop. He was no nonsense. Older, with kind eyes. I laid it all out, the romance, the family's dismissiveness, the party, the humiliation, the ghosting, the lawyer, the NDA. I stuck to facts. Frank listened, nodding, scribbling notes. He asked precise questions. When I finished, he put his pen down. So, you want to know if this is a pattern? He said, if they've done this before, and if there's anything else they might be hiding. I nodded. Exactly, anything that could explain this cruelty. Frank took the job. He was expensive, but it felt like the most important investment. He worked quietly. It took a few weeks. Then reports started trickling in. Each one was a punch, but also clarity. First, Daniel's ex-fiancé, Emily, an artist. Frank found her. She had left Daniel, abruptly, 2 years prior. After a family event. Her story mirrored mine in chilling detail. A sudden disinvitation, a public snub, Daniel's silence. Emily had just packed her bags and left, too heartbroken to fight. It wasn't an isolated incident, it was a playbook. They discarded me because it was what they did. Then came the financial skeletons. Frank dug into Daniel's family's business. Nothing illegal, but questionable practices. Shady offshore accounts. Lawsuits quietly settled with NDAs. Large sums of money moved, always skirting legality. They were good at keeping things clean on paper, but Frank saw the patterns. This wasn't just a bad breakup. This was about power, control, and money, and I, a normal woman, was simply a casualty they thought they could sweep under the rug. I wouldn't be swept. Frank's information landed like heavy blows. Daniel's ex, the identical pattern, the financial secrets. It wasn't just Daniel, it was the whole family. A machine. The rage inside me solidified, hardening into something cold and determined. They wanted to erase me, fine, but I wouldn't go quietly. I started documenting everything. Every text from Isabella, every passive-aggressive Instagram story. I screenshot them, saving them in an encrypted folder. I printed the lawyer's NDA email. I wrote down dates, conversations, party details. My phone was my war chest, my laptop, my filing cabinet. I was building a case, not for a courtroom, but for a different kind of justice. My first quiet move felt almost invisible. I knew people who freelanced for online blogs covering elite social scandals. I crafted anonymous tips, short, tantalizing, hinting at mistreatment, public humiliation at a high-profile engagement party, and a powerful family's attempts to silence the wronged party. I didn't name names directly, not yet, just enough breadcrumbs for them to start looking. I used a burner email. It felt like dropping tiny stones into a vast, still pond, watching the ripples spread, knowing someone would notice. Then, I started writing, a long, detailed post, my story, in my own words. I wrote about meeting Daniel, the whirlwind, the proposal, then the slow erosion, the red flags, the party, the dress code, the banner, Vivian's words. I described the feeling of being kicked out, the gaslighting, the ghosting, the lawyer, the NDA. I used no emotional labels, just facts, actions, the cold reality. I included snippets of dialogue, screenshots of Isabella's posts edited for privacy, a photo of the ring. I was meticulous, careful, calm. I wanted it undeniable. I wanted it devastating. I didn't know when I'd release it, but I knew it would be public. My truth laid bare, my way of reclaiming my voice. I worked on it late into the night, every word a deliberate strike. This wasn't about anger anymore. It was about exposing a pattern, showing the world what happens when powerful people think they can get away with anything. I was building my own narrative, brick by painful brick, and when the moment was right, I would set it free. The days ticked by. A strange calm settled as I documented everything, refining my plan. I hadn't heard directly from the Reynolds since the lawyer's call, and I hadn't responded. They expected me to break, return the ring, sign their paper to vanish. Then an envelope arrived, thick, cream-colored cardstock with the Reynolds crest, not a personal letter, a formal wedding update. Due to unforeseen circumstances, the wedding of Daniel Reynolds and my name has been delayed indefinitely. We thank you for your understanding. It was addressed to me, but clearly for a wider circle. A public acknowledgement the wedding was off, blaming vague, unforeseen circumstances. Implying I was the cause, no apology, just a cold cancellation. They weren't even going to let me announce my own wedding was off. They were doing it for me on their terms, controlling the narrative. My hands trembled as I read the card, delayed indefinitely, their way of uninviting me from my own ceremony. My name was on it, but it felt like a ghost. A cold, sharp anger replaced the tremor. This was the final straw. They wanted to control the narrative. Fine, but they wouldn't control mine. I picked up my phone, not to call Daniel or Vivian. I opened Instagram. I hadn't posted anything personal in weeks. I composed a new post, simple words, no frills but with a punch. The wedding is cancelled. I wrote a simple sentence, then the real message. I deserve a love that shows up, not one that kicks me out the door. I didn't elaborate. I didn't name names. I didn't explain. I just posted it, along with a stark black square. My thumb hovered, then I pressed it. The digital world was about to hear my truth. Within minutes, notifications pinged, likes, shares, reposts. It went viral, faster than I could imagine. Strangers commented, sharing their own stories of being dismissed, betrayed. "Go girl, he's not worth it," comments poured in. My simple, direct statement resonated. It wasn't just my story anymore. It was becoming a voice for countless others. I closed my eyes. A strange mix of fear and exhilaration. The wedding that wasn't had now become a very public statement, and Daniel's family, who loved their privacy, were about to realize they had made a very big mistake. The Instagram post exploded. It wasn't a ripple, it was a wave. My phone buzzed constantly with support, the news of the cancelled wedding. Fueled by my post and Frank's early tips, hit gossip columns. My simple statement became a digital wildfire. I still had the ring. It sat in my jewelry box, a heavy presence. The lawyer's demand was ignored. I knew it was legally mine, but keeping it felt incomplete. It was a symbol of what was taken, but also a burden. No, it was time for it to go back, but not as a surrender. I went to a local pawn shop Frank recommended. I didn't want to sell it, I just wanted its worth. The jeweler, a kind old man, examined the diamond. "It's a fine stone," he said. "Very good quality, you've got real value here." He gave me a very large number. I just nodded, still not selling it. Instead, I bought something else, a cheap, flashy cubic zirconia ring. It looked almost identical to Daniel's diamond. At first glance, the same cut, same setting, just a fraction of the weight, no genuine fire, a perfect, glittering fake. I took it home, the real diamond still in my purse. I wrapped the fake carefully, placed it in a small, elegant box. Then, I wrote a note, short. Since appearances matter so much, I wrote, my hand steady. "I figured you wouldn't notice the difference." I didn't sign it. No well wishes. The message was clear, a quiet jab. I put the box and note into a padded envelope, addressed it to Daniel, at his family's residence. I sent it certified mail, requiring a signature. I wanted to be sure they got it. I watched the postal worker put the sticker on the envelope, the tracking number, a tiny promise of revenge. The real diamond, the truly valuable one, I kept, not because I wanted it, but because it was evidence. A tangible piece of their deception, a reminder of the price I had paid, and the price they would now pay. A secret victory, and that made it all the more satisfying. The fake ring was on its way. My Instagram post drew attention. It was time to unleash the full story. I opened the document I'd crafted for weeks. My story, a final read-through, checking every detail, every screenshot. Cold, factual, devastating, no minced words, no exaggeration. I decided to publish it on Medium, a platform for longer-form writing, where stories could breathe. I titled it, "I Got Kicked Out of My Own Engagement Party, Here's What I Learned." Direct, intriguing, promising revelation. With a deep breath, I clicked publish. It felt like letting go of something heavy. My story was out there now, unfiltered, uncontrolled. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Within hours, it gained traction. Shared on Twitter, reposted on Facebook, dissected in subreddits. Then, female-focused online media outlets picked it up, quoting sections, framing it as a shocking tale of betrayal. Headlines: "Bride-to-be kicked out of her own party." The humiliation that went viral. Then came TikTok. Someone took snippets, overlaid them with trending sounds, created videos that went ballistic. My face wasn't shown, but my words were everywhere. It resonated deeply. Thousands of women shared similar stories in comments, in their own videos, using mine as a catalyst. They talked about controlling in-laws, gaslighting, public shaming, the pressure to conform. It wasn't just my isolated incident. It was a collective experience. Amplified, I became an unexpected voice, a reluctant symbol for women reclaiming self-worth. Messages flooded my DMs. "Your story is my story. Thank you for speaking up. You gave me courage to leave." It was humbling, terrifying, empowering. I read every message, feeling a connection to these strangers who understood. My quiet act of revenge had unintended, beautiful consequences. It became something much bigger than just me and Daniel. It became a movement, and for the first time in months, I felt like I truly belonged, not in Daniel's world, but in a community of women who refused to be silenced. The viral story hit Daniel's family like a digital tsunami. They were used to controlling every narrative, but this was different. This wasn't a quiet blog post. It was a sensation, amplified by thousands of voices, impossible to ignore. Their carefully cultivated image of old money, impeccable decorum, and philanthropy began to crack, very publicly. Their first move, damage control. Mr. Harrison released a statement. Vague, legal jargon, denying all allegations, calling my story a baseless fabrication and a malicious attempt to extort and defame a respected family. They threatened legal action, citing libel. They tried to paint me as unstable, attention-seeking, just as Isabella had hinted. But it was too late. Too many people witnessed the party. Too many saw Isabella's passive-aggressive Instagram stories, screenshots, long deleted, circulated by online detectives. People remembered seeing me there, looking out of place. The timeline didn't lie. My story, despite their denials, felt real and authentic to thousands. Their counter-narrative sounded hollow. The fallout was swift. Vivian, Daniel's mother, was prominent in women's foundations. Whispers grew louder. How can she champion women's causes when she publicly humiliates a young woman? The pressure mounted. Within days, an announcement came. Vivian Reynolds had stepped down from a major women's empowerment foundation, citing personal reasons. The foundation's statement, carefully worded, mentioned integrity concerns and upholding the values of our mission. It wasn't a firing, but everyone knew what it meant. Her reputation, built over decades, was crumbling under her own actions. Daniel, too, faced consequences. His online profiles, once pristine, were filled with comments, questions, accusations. His image as a rising star in finance was tarnished. Potential business partners, wary of negative publicity, began to pull back. The family, so obsessed with image, faced a public relations nightmare they couldn't control, and I, the woman they had tried to erase, watched it all unfold, not with joy but with a quiet sense of justice. They had made their bed, now they had to lie in it, publicly. 6 months later, my life felt completely different. The noise around Daniel and his family had faded, but my story's impact lingered. I was thriving, in a way I never imagined. Anger had transformed into something powerful. The biggest change was the podcast. After the Medium post, I got interview requests, public speaking invitations. It was overwhelming. But I realized this was a chance to create a platform for others. I launched Unsilenced Women. It was a space for women to share stories of overcoming betrayal, gaslighting, dismissal. It wasn't about revenge anymore, it was about healing, finding your voice, building a new life. The response was incredible. Hundreds of thousands listened weekly. I interviewed amazing women, sharing their journeys, offering hope. It felt meaningful, real. My career was still on track, perhaps even better. My company, seeing the positive attention, gave me more responsibility. I worked on projects I cared about, like financial literacy for women. I felt respected, valued not as an accessory, but for who I was, and dating, slowly, thoughtfully. I was seeing someone new, met through a friend at a book club. He was kind, quiet, and he listened, really listened. No grandiosity, no flashy displays, just simple, everyday kindness. We went for walks, cooked dinner together. He didn't try to impress me with his family name or bank account. He just showed up. Consistently, that, I realized, was everything, a slow, steady build, a gentle rhythm. I still had the real engagement ring. The one Daniel's family thought they had reclaimed. It sat in a secured box in my safety deposit box. Not about the money. It was a tangible symbol of my victory, a reminder of what I had overcome. A physical representation of the game they played and lost. My final message, at the end of every podcast episode, became a mantra. When someone shows you who they are, I would say, my voice calm and firm, believe them the first time, don't make excuses, don't try to change them. Just believe what you see and take the ring back while you're at it, because sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is to simply walk away and then build something even better for yourself. It was my story, and it was just the beginning.